Should you throw elbows in sparring? Timmy with the intro. This has been a big topic of contention with one of my videos that I posted recently, in which I did the asotagari, the poor man's asotagari, or the Piota yarn throw, as I call it. Poor man's when I do it, and then landed in side control and threw a few short elbows. And I'm not shying away from it. This is something, I stand by that, bro. But I know a lot of people like elbows in sparring, and some guys were like, if that was me, bro, the gloves would be off and we'd be scrapping. I'm like, all right, man, just see red and go for it. But here's why I do it. And I'm a big advocate for it. One, I don't fight. So if I ever wanted to learn how to use the stuff, those techniques, I can't just wait for a fight if I'm never going to fight, but I still want to learn how to use the tools. So I do it in a controlled way. Secondly, if you do fight, do you really want the first time you experience and see elbows to be in the fight itself? Or would you rather have some exposure to it first in a safe and controlled way? Bear in mind, I've never hurt someone or split someone open with elbows. I have hit one person with a spinning elbow once, and so I adjusted how to do that and how to pull it back. And yes, I throw spinning elbows as well. Now, I also come from a Taekwondo background in which there's a very big emphasis on control, on not being able to hit the person. Some people will be like, throw an elbow like to miss. I don't like doing that. I'd rather throw it to the area that I'm going to hit and pull it back slightly, or just stop just before it. You should have enough control to be able to do that. That's just something that was drilled into us at Taekwondo. So it's just something I've grown up with, and I always check with the gyms if you're allowed to do that. Like if they're cool with it. If they say no elbow pad. Like I literally went to sparring on Friday and I was putting on the elbow pads and they're like, hey, you don't need it for this class because no one here is like at a level to handle that. I was like, cool. Didn't put the elbow pads on, didn't throw any elbows. So it's not very hard to do that. But that being said, the way that I do it safely is the control, and I am aware of where I am. I'm not just throwing them blindly and having no idea where I am. Even my spinning elbows, I always have a very big emphasis on look first. So you should be able to look over your shoulder and see where they are before you do it. And like, I'll throw them faster with more experienced guys. Like my coach, I have a video where I like catch his leg, throw it down and then spinning elbow. But I knew where he was going to be because I had control of him before it. So I just like threw the elbow, but I didn't flare it out from my body just to have some fun with it. In the video, it looks like it hit him, but it just went over his head. My elbow wasn't even out enough to hit him because of how fast I was doing it. So I'm going to zoom in a bit, otherwise you can see my wife walking around in the background. Okay, so elbow pads wise, I got these, and these are fantastic little ones. Oh, they smell a little bit. But I've sprayed them and I put them out on the balcony, so they've been aired up. And Nesta says, likewise for karate, I have to control my strikes too. Absolutely, bro. I actually think it's such an underrated skill of traditional martial arts that some people don't carry over to like MMA, and that is that element of like controlling shots to be able to learn how to use them. I mean, look at the boys at City Kickboxing. They use elbows too. They just pull them back. But I use these. Make sure these are, I don't know what brand. It says Blessed or Be Legend or something. These are great because they stay on my elbows. I know some elbow guards notoriously will slip up or down. Well, I have a video of me getting spinning elbowed in the face or in the jaw by one of my mates, and it had slid down his elbow onto the forearm. So I just pick very carefully based on these. So I have these. This is not sponsored. I just like this gear. If you'd recommend them, I wore a similar type for my first Muay Thai fight, and they stay on pretty well. Interesting tidbit for that is before the fight, because these cut off your circulation a lot. Before the fight, when they give you the guards, what we did was, because it's not your own that you bring in, we actually purposely like stretched them and pulled them so they wouldn't cut off the blood flow to my arms as much, because we'd experimented with it in training and we were like, oh, okay, this like gasses your arms out. So it's like a little fighters thing. We were backstage and we like pulled them really hard, and we broke some of the elastic, or like stretched the material out. But they still didn't fall off my elbows. We still taped them up, but it meant that I had a lot more blood flow through my arms. So that's another argument for fight-specific training. If I didn't have elbow guards in training, I wouldn't have known that beforehand, how much that takes it out of you. And it's a small, like 1% thing, But this is where it all comes together. I am very big on whether it's martial arts, whether it's business stuff, whether it's my relationship, whether it's my walk with God, if it's training my dogs, anything. I am very big on intentionality. So if you're like, hey, I want to develop a specific skill, go and do that specific skill. Some people will be like, oh, hey, I want to grow my business. And then they'll go do something else that doesn't grow the business. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, do the thing that's going to grow your business. And it's this notion of how you do anything is how you do everything. If you're like, I want to learn to do wheel kicks, you probably just need to throw some wheel kicks. It's like when people ask me, how do you gain flexibility? How do you high kick? I'm like, I don't do any stretching. I don't get any of my clients to do any stretching. I'm just like, just throw high kicks every day. Like, just try them. And your body will get used to it, because flexibility, like everything else, is a skill. And the more you expose yourself to it, the more your body's like, oh, hey, I can do this. We got a comment here. Every time I put in my elbow pads, I take them off 3 minutes later because of the circulation. Yeah, exactly, bro. Alpha LV08. I get you, bro. These ones aren't so bad. I'm used to the circulation thing, but man, sometimes it's like your arms go a bit dead, because these are mine, so I don't want to stretch them out fully. But yeah, I figure it's good extra training, like blood flow restriction training. You get a sick pump in the arms. They get dead, but you definitely can get restricted, which is why, for like I said before, like I think that's excellent that you're adding to that point. With my fights, we stretched them out so that it didn't, like, I don't remember it cutting off my arm circulation very much, which was good. So it very much, coming back to the initial point, it very much is about being intentional with what you're doing. Because if you've got a specific skill you want to develop, the best way is to do it. Sip of coffee. So yeah, if I want to learn how to throw elbows, I'm going to throw elbows. I will very sparingly throw them to miss, just if it'll be a bit of fun. With my coach in that, like I said, the one where I went over his head, or I'll pull them back, like I'll show it. I'll do the spinning motion, for example, with the spinning elbow. I have another video in which I do that, and I just like don't detach the elbow from my shoulder. And what that means is like it just stays to my body. You just spin, look over your shoulder, and the person's like, okay, yeah, that would have gotten me. I think that's so good for training, because it's like, I've seen people like get spinning back fist KOs, probably because they're the person they're, no, not in sparring though, but I mean, I have KO'd someone with a spinning back fist KO once in sparring. That was my dad, and that was not so great. Accident. But I've seen someone do that. I know people have done that in fights, just probably because the other person was never exposed to that many spinning back fists in their training. If you see it all the time and someone goes to throw it in a fight, you'll be like, I've seen this before. And then you won't get caught by it. Like, you'll have the conditioning because you've done the preparation beforehand. So intentional preparation is really big. Honestly, I think a lot of people, when it comes to their fight preparation, they aren't very intentional. I think a lot of Muay Thai training is not intentional either, depending on the goal that you're solving for. If you are trying to do like fight stuff, then I think there needs to be a lot more of the technical, specific training, especially as you get closer to it, as opposed to just general conditioning. Like honestly, running before training, skipping and all that, shadowboxing's alright, but a lot of pad work as well. Those three things, I don't think they're that useful for learning to fight, if I'm being completely honest with you. They are like a 5% of the time kind of thing. That's another controversial take, if you will. But yeah, when it comes to the elbows in sparring, if you don't throw them and at least touch someone with them sometimes, you don't know they're going to land. I appreciate it when like my training partners, like I've had coaches before, get you in a position and you think, oh, okay, cool, I'm safe. I've kind of trapped the hand or something if you're on the bottom. And especially in jiu-jitsu, if you do pure jiu-jitsu with no striking on the ground, it gives you a false sense of safety. You get complacent, but MMA, and that there's a sense of urgency. If you're in a bad position, you've got to go. You have to move. And so I want to be exposed to that as regularly as possible so that I can develop those skills. And I've had coaches before that they'll just get on top and like throw these little short elbows. Sometimes if you can't see where they're going to come from, just getting tapped on the side of the head, you're like, oh my goodness, right, move. It's a little cute. But yeah, I'm a big fan of like even those short elbows that I threw at my guy there, because I want to use it and be like, I wonder if I can get to a position where this would be useful, and so I'll throw them. And I think it's great. And sometimes you can do it as a funny like and like you can throw them like this far away from someone, and like if they know, then you're just having fun. Like, we're having fun, but learning to use all the tools that we want to use. I don't know if I finished that point, but like I said, I don't fight. So I want to learn to use all the tools. That's something I specialize in. It's like helping guys, or like that's the kind of training I love teaching, is guys that want to excel at martial arts and reach their full human potential through martial arts and other means as well. Obviously I do that with business as well, but they don't want to fight, because you don't have to fight. Yeah, and that's why I don't fight anymore. We'll do a video about that another time, going into more in depth on that. But yeah, I'm just a massive fan of the intentionality that comes with thinking about what you're doing and solving for that goal. So many people are like, I want to do this, and then they go do something else. It's like, your actions are not showing me that you actually want to solve this thing, or that you're actually going to solve this thing. You might want to solve it, but exactly, it's like, I want to solve it versus I am solving it. I am doing this thing. It's done. It's happening. It's a whole different ballgame, and you see that a lot in business as well. So obviously I relate the two very heavily, because a big thing is like my martial arts helps my business by way of the content, but also by way of my focus and me getting to practice intentionality. So it bleeds into every single aspect and area of your life, and I'm quite grateful that I get to do it. Obviously, again, like, ask your coach if you can throw them. Depends on the gym. And practice with caution. If you've never thrown one before, probably don't throw it in sparring, like full force at someone, because you're probably going to hurt them or yourself. Or if you're fortunate, you'll miss completely. But control and being able to regulate yourself, and then developing the skill outside of that, I think that's really important. So being able to throw it, visualize it, that's a big thing we did from Taekwondo as well. It's like, you just imagine, like, where am I hitting to on someone whilst you're shadow boxing, or even pad work, which I think pad work isn't necessarily as great. I mean, I do it, it's a bit of fun. It's not necessarily the best if you want to intensely develop fight skills. If you want for fight conditioning, yes, it can help. And if you just enjoy it, fantastic, do it. I mean, even if you don't enjoy it, just do it if you want. But for me personally, I'm like, the benefit of pad work tends to be like conditioning and just like being able to hit. But even then, there's a specific way to hold pads that will teach you to hit them properly. Yeah, in my opinion, like, you've got world champions that hit pads, and like, whilst I'm sitting here being like, I wouldn't do that, I'm not going to tell them not to do it. They've got specific reasons that they do it, and some of it might just be they like doing it to move and keep active. But yeah, if I were to have to only pick specific things, I get very... it's a fun little game I do with myself, even with business. It's like, if you had to pick one thing to do, what would you do? Because then you very quickly find out what the most important criteria are, or the most important things to do, and then you do that. And a lot of people just can't do that. They're like, oh, I'll prioritize this and this and this. But that's not prioritizing, because you can only prioritize one thing. Like, that's what a priority is. It's the number one thing, you know? Yeah. That's pretty much all I have to say about elbows in sparring. Would love to hear your guys' thoughts, whether it's now or leaving the comments, and I'm sure I'll get some comments about it. Yeah, elbows in sparring, I think they're a fantastic shout if you do them safely with good training partners and it's agreed upon by both of you. The gym's okay with it, and you've got the equipment for it, as well as like, well, that kind of comes under, what comes under safety is like, you know how to throw the technique. But obviously part of what we're learning to do is throw it on a person, like live, because when you're hitting pads, it's not the same. When you're hitting a body, it's like all different shapes and move with the movement and that, and that's why you got to be careful and use the right equipment. So again, these are the elbow pads that I have. I'm very specific on the equipment that I use. I might start showing you guys more of that, and some of it's getting worn out, so I might have to start looking at some new equipment soon. Yeah, just because I need some new shin pads and that, but yeah, we'll see. So yeah, shout out to that brand, Be Legend or Blessed or something like that. But yeah, that's about it. Oh, Ethan, got a question here. Oh yeah, we'll open up to some question time. So I'm smelling my finger from the from the guard. So Ethan, my guy, asked, what do you think about fighting with your hands down? I think if you know how to do it, do it. Like, I think it has massive advantages. It's like with any style, you have to know the advantages and disadvantages of it. So I think if it's all that you can do is fight with your hands down, you'll be in a little bit of a pickle. I think that if you are capable of doing that and switching when you need to, that's fantastic. But I'm a big fan of it. Like, I fight and I spar with my hands down. the number one piece of thing that I hear in like every video that I'm watching back, every interclub is like, hands up, hands up. Eventually, coaches just stop telling me to do it at gyms because I just don't do it, because more often than not, I don't need my hands up. I've built my whole style around being able to not have my hands up and knowing how to box and that with it as well. But that doesn't mean that sometimes I don't put my hands up. I just don't leave them up. Again, intentionality is what it comes down to, because some people are like, hands up, terrible cue in and of itself, I think, because people think hands up and they just kind of put their hands here, and then what do? They have a terrible guard that you can just split that guard down the middle. Like if someone hits you hard, that's breaking this guard, because this is like, people are like, oh, hands up, cool, even with the gloves on, they're like this. But seeing that, a better cue in my opinion is active defense or defend, because here, even if your hands are up, this loose guard, loose elbows, all that, no good. Tight, here, strong, able to see. This kind of rhino guard as well. Really important to be able to defend yourself properly, and the shoulder up as well. Actually, I didn't demonstrate that well. Shoulder up this way, rhino guard, really important stuff, whatever you want to call it. Or active defense, a lot of the time you can parry, you can move, you can slip, you can pull, or use your footwork to get out of there. Those are my opinions on fighting with your hands down. And plus it creates some awesome angles. Like I up jab a lot, and it gives me like a few variations on the jab, because I can bring my hand up to do, like, I call it a Muhammad Ali jab, like a classic jab. I'll pull it here, but that also allows me to set things up. So if someone sees me do this, they think I'm going to jab from a certain angle, they'll react, and I can capitalize on that. I normally side kick or something like that. Or I can up jab. So if you're used to jabs always coming from here, get used to it. Everyone does it. But then if your jab comes up on this angle, some people are blind to it. It just comes up in a weird spot. Plus there's a blind spot in the eye technically because of where the stem of your eye leaves, so there is a technically a blind spot. I think it's about there as well, which is why like up stuff works well. Griffiths Fitness, my guy Alex. What about knee pads? What brand do you find is best? So that's another topic. I like to throw knees in that in sparring. I haven't found any that I like, if I'm being honest. I've seen some around, but I have yet to try some that I'm like they'll be good. Because right now, I don't have any knee pads that I like, man. So any recommendations, let me know. Right now, I kind of like do the classic Muay Thai style where I throw my knees and I just don't hit people with them. Or if you hit them, it's like very light and you know where you're hitting with. Also, another thing is I'm not a big fan of people saying like, oh, hit with your forearm if you're going to practice your elbows, just so you don't hurt your partner. I'd rather hit with the point of the elbow and pull it back, or have the equipment on so I can hit with the right part of my elbow. Same with knees. I don't like it necessarily when people are like, and this is just my opinion, when they're like, oh, hit with the inside of your thigh, or like hit with the top of your knee, because I think it's just training you to do it the wrong way and get your distance and timing wrong. If you want to hit with the point of the knee, practice to hit with the point of your knee and just pull it back. And then when you do your bag work, when you do your shadow boxing, you can intentionally visualize following through. Your brain doesn't know the difference, so it's forming that neural pathway, and you do it anyway. And then you form that association in your mind, or that neural pathway. So yeah, those are my thoughts on that. I don't have any good knee pads yet. I'm sure I'll find some. I've seen some around that I'm like, I'd like to try them. They're a bit more like a sleeve with some padding on them, and I'll be keen to try those out. Oh, cool! More questions. Keep them coming, boys. Keep them coming. Nesta, why train the wrong way where you can train the right way but controlled? Ha ha ha. Yeah, exactly, bro. Exactly. I get that, man. I've seen some of your training as well, where it's like the karate focused training. There's definitely something to it. Like there's a lot more precision that's ingrained into those things, because you practice on a partner more often than not. Like for the first 14 years of my training doing taekwondo, I hit pads probably like twice, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 10 times across 14 years, because it just wasn't a thing for us. We'd practice on each other, and there was a big thing about precision and control. So it was the ability to stop on a dime right before someone's temple, or like throw a spinning jumping wheel kick and stop like right there. The thing is, like, that was the thing at black belt. They were like, you've got to be able to stop like this far away, an inch away from your opponent, and that's control. That's the purest expression of technique. Now, do I think that can be taken too far to the point where we're playing patty cake? Yes, I think it can be taken too far. But if you mix that in with actually hitting stuff, you'll develop I find the best way, but while staying safe with your training partners, like people hardly ever got injured in Taekwondo. You didn't get hit very much because the control was emphasized, but we were able to crack and like we could really throw good, technical, precise shots, and that's a big thing. Precision beats power, timing beats speed. Prime McGregor. A lot of it is like the best punches, like they don't look like hard punches a lot of the time. They just look like nothing because it's the placement, the timing, the technique. Anyway, Ethan, what do you think of using a bladed stance? I think it's great. I mean, I use a pretty bladed stance. You just, again, just like with the hand position, you have to be aware of its advantages and disadvantages, because if you're purely operating with a bladed stance and not understanding the disadvantages of it, and you can't do anything else besides that, and you can't work around the disadvantages, then you're going to be in for it a little bit. But I mean, you can look at guys like Wonder Boy is a great example, MVP. They're good examples of guys who know how to use it, or Wonder Boy in his prime years a little bit more so. Being able to use the bladed stance to avoid low kicks, to punish low kicks, to anti-wrestle, and that to set up their own stuff, especially if you get used to it. You just got to know the ins and outs and be exposed to it. So if you use a bladed stance, use it in training and like get exposed to all the stuff like the wrestling, like the low kicks and that, because then you'll figure out ways that work for you to be able to work around the bladed stuff. Yeah, because classic ones are like, if your stance is too bladed, too side on, you can't check properly. And that was a problem that I had when I first started Muay Thai. What's up, Denzel and CJK? A classic thing that I had when I started Muay Thai was my stance is too bladed to check. So I couldn't check. It means the defense is different for a bladed stance. Normally it's better suited to like a leg retraction or like intercepting with a side kick or something like that, or movement instead. But for the first 6 weeks of Muay Thai, my coach was just piecing me, like destroying my leg. And I'd be limping around, coming to training, and be like, dude, why can't I check? And he was like, it's your stance. I was like, oh, thanks for telling me. And then I started standing more square and I could check. So every stance has advantages and disadvantages. If you stand more square, you can check, but your center's more open. So you can get hit down the middle. That's why Muay Thai guys, very susceptible to shots straight down the middle. Like if you crack them straight down the middle, like teeps, snap kicks and that, the stance is just open for it, so you have to develop things around it. They've got parries, they've got catches, they've got interceptions that they use, that they do to counteract those things, and distance management and footwork. But yeah, with a bladed stance, it has its advantages and its disadvantages. I prefer a slightly more bladed stance, just because that's my background. I'm way more comfortable with it, and I do it a lot in training, so I get used to it. I've got like a hybrid stance, so my stance isn't fully bladed and it's not fully square. I find that it's something that I've developed myself to give myself the best possible advantage of both. So like I can check with my leg, or I can at least turn my knee out enough to discourage people from checking, from kicking my leg. Although my leg does kick, it gets kicked sometimes, but I build stuff around discouraging people from doing it, whether it's grappling, whether it's a sweep, whether it's like counter striking or blitzing off of it. I don't really blitz that much off of my stance, but I've got it's like semi-bladed, semi front on. It's like my foot's at this kind of angle, I guess you could say. So bladed would be this way if my opponent was here. Bladed's this way, my front foot. Square is this way, front foot pointing this way. I'm kind of like here, and then I can do a bit of both. And most of my leg kick defense is retracting my leg anyway, so that I find that stance is perfect for it. Like I can retract, and I'm also in a position to be able to like pull up a side kick or something like that, or throw some spinning stuff, or or box if I want to. So I find it's that really nice mix of it. Again, it's like any of it can work. If you know how to make it work, because it's not like you could be like, oh, hard and fast, that doesn't work, or that does work for everyone. It's different. Like you've got guys like Wonder Boy and MVP who make the bladed stance work in MMA, in the highest levels of MMA. And then you've got people who just don't do that. Like you got Jorge Masvidal, who like does not have a bladed stance at all. You got guys like that, so it's like advantages and disadvantages and making your style work. But yeah, this is a great question, boys. So let me know if you got any more. I'll be signing off in a little bit. I'll drink a bit more coffee, but this is great, man. I appreciate the questions. Again, I would say the number one thing that it all comes down to is intentionality. So if you're intentional about how you're using your stance, how you're developing defense and offense off of it, how you are, like what techniques you're using, so elbows, knees, all that stuff, spinning strikes, I use all of these things. You just got to be careful. And that's it. That's all that matters. I mean, for example, and there are no shin pads that really will cover this. It's only like certain foot pads, or like some shin pads will. But like I throw wheel kicks and like hook kicks and that, so I'm hitting with my heel towards people all the time. I throw some axe kicks as well in sparring, but very, very controlled. Because sometimes people really don't expect axe kicks, so you can't like bring it down fast at all. But you can just show people stuff. Like I throw hook kicks in training all the time with my heel, and like I've never hit anyone with it and like hurt them. I've slapped people in the face with my foot before to kind of, if I've had to be like, just so you know, like, because some people have that happen and they're like, nah, I'll walk through that. I'm like, probably not. Like, especially if I hit you properly, like if you give them a good slap, then they'll be like, oh, okay. But again, it's only specific people. Like I won't assume that people are going to do that straight out the gate. I'll normally just throw it with the control. And then sometimes if it's someone who doesn't realize and they try to blitz me off of it, I can be like, hey, just so you know, like that would have been like a shot to the head. So, you know, just be respectful of that if they're less experienced. But if they're more experienced, we communicate and they're cool with it, then you can get slapped in the face. And I encourage people to do the same to me. Like if I'm making mistakes like that, slap me in the face, bro, with your feet. Because if I'm not learning, it means I deserve it. And sometimes that's the best way to learn. Sometimes you can tell people, hey, watch out for the elbows, watch out for this. But experience tends to be one of the best teachers. So if you like get someone in a position with the grappling and you start elbowing away at them with your elbow pads on and safely, or like even just like without elbow pads, you can like tap them very lightly. I've got coaches that have done that before. And I'm all for it. Like they've done it to me. Then you're like, oh, okay, yes, urgency. Like I have to recognize what needs to be done in this position as opposed to just thinking, oh, I'm safe, I'm good. And especially for MMA, it's like we want to be specific about it. And that's the issue sometimes I think with pure grappling being translated over to MMA. If you only pure grapple, you never develop the full sense of urgency that's required for MMA sometimes. So I will, whenever I pure grapple, I won't go through periods where I ever stop doing MMA. I'll always take whatever I'm learning from the pure grappling and apply it to an MMA context with the sparring, because then I can learn, okay, does this position work when striking is involved? Yes or no? If it does, sweet. If it doesn't, all gravy. I will adapt it accordingly. And yeah, so intentionality is really key when it comes to these things. Oh, Ethan, another question. I love it, bro. What's your favorite way of recovering after training? I have my 5 S's of recovery, and I'll see if I can remember them all. So I call them my 5 S's. I'm gonna write them as I say them, because I think that would be the most helpful thing. 5 S's of training, and I'll hold them up so you can see in a bit. Let me go to the back of my notebook. Okay, and I'll do it upside down here. My 5 S's. So you've got S, 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 S. So you've got sustenance or food. I just have them as S's because it's like catchier, but food, like recovering, eating well. I prioritize my protein. I'm a big fan of like I have a kilogram of steak a day, and I find that helps me a lot with my recovery. Strength. So my strength training, my weight training, I think is a really underrated form of recovery because it really just helps, especially for martial arts stuff. It helps do this thing that we call muscle tendon buffering. So if you're using your tendons a lot, like really explosive stuff in martial arts, that's where people get a lot of like tendon problems, tendinopathy and all of that, because there's so much strain on the tendons. But using more of your muscles, slowing down under load and doing your strength training takes a lot of load off of the tendons, especially for like your calves, your Achilles and that. I find that that's a big thing, which I'm going to go do some today. It offloads a lot and really helps you recover because you're moving through it and giving your body more stimulus. Some people think, I just need to rest fully. I'm not a big fan of like just complete rest. I'm more of an active recovery guy. So strength training is a big part of that active recovery. And it's like you're getting blood flowing in the area, so it flushes out any inflammation and brings in nutrients to the area, and same for joint health and all that. So we got sustenance, food, strength training, schedule is another one. I'm writing this one preemptively. Stress is the fourth one. So schedule is just building a training schedule that works for your life. So it's like, if you can train twice a day, every day, fantastic, do that. If you can't, then don't. Don't force yourself to do something for the sake of it just because you saw someone else doing it. That's where you'll run into a little bit of a conundrum. Give me one sec. Oh, all right, and we're back here. So we've got schedule, making a schedule that fits for you. If you can train 2 a day, fantastic. If you can't, then don't. I used to train, do 17 little training sessions a week when I was in fight camp. And it worked because it fit. I built it around my schedule. Really simple, but a lot of people don't think that. Yes, I remember the last one. Okay, stress and sleep are the last two. So stress is stress management. So it's stress. There's stress on your body, and it has a very similar physiological effect to mental stress. So if you are straining yourself in training and then you're outside of training and you're stressing, you're doing something you don't enjoy, you are worried about something, that will hinder your recovery as well, because it has a physiological effect. It increases cortisol, and in the short and long term, it tends to hinder recovery. Not that cortisol has no benefit, but it does tend to hinder your recovery if you have too high a level of that. So when it comes to that, stress management is big, and this is where some people, I'm not a big fan of ice baths or saunas or anything like that for recovery. I don't think it helps very much, but I think recently I've actually found the saunas pretty good sometimes if my knees a bit sore. I'll go in and I'll do that, but I think it's more so the fact that I'm moving around and then there's blood flowing and that. So you could replace that with a walk or something, and I just enjoy being in the sauna. So for me, that's also a bit of stress management, because I get in there, it's a mental thing. I enjoy pushing myself in there, and I just enjoy improving through it, and it helps put me into a relaxed state. But you can do stuff like mindfulness, meditation in that. I think most people think of that. I don't really do that, but yeah. So I'm big on that, going for a walk, and then that filters into active recovery stuff. Going for a walk, fantastic way to recover. And sleep. So sleep's a big one, super underrated. I still think it's probably one of the most powerful things for your recovery and also your stress management. So getting a good amount of sleep that your body needs, around 7 to 8 hours for most guys, 8 hours for most guys, I think is really good. That's why I build my schedule around letting my body wake up when it's ready to wake up, because then I get as much recovery as possible. When you combine all these things together, I find that makes for the best recovery in a martial arts context, and then even for strength training, that has a massive effect as well. It's and martial arts helps with recovery for strength training, I find. It depends on how you train, and then because as a result of that, you'll regulate your intensity as well, is a big one. And another principle that I'll chuck in there is regulating yourself, or adjusting, or some people call it auto-regulation. So it's see how you feel on each given day, and there's always something that you can do. Sometimes it's a full rest day that's required, but more often than not, there's something you can do. You just adjust the intensity. If it's at a martial arts gym, just communicate with your coach. Hey coach, I'm real sore. Can I take it easier today? Can I do this instead? This is sore. That, and coaches are great. I mean, I can't speak for every coach, but I know that if one of my guys comes to me and is hey, this is really sore, I can't really do this, we'll work around it. We'll do something else, but there's always something that we can develop. Even if someone's I got a sore back, I'm cool, this is probably going to help with that, because the movement is good. So those are my 5 S's for recovery after training: sustenance or food, strength training, sustenance, strength training, schedule, stress management, and sleep. Those are my 5. I think those are the core things that form. These are the 20% of things that will give you the biggest bang for buck and are responsible for 80% of your gains, 90% of your gains, I'd say 99% of your gains, and recovery gains, that is, and getting the most out of your training. So yeah, that's what I would say for those. Stuff like ice baths and saunas and all these extra, and even massages and massage boots. Not a big fan of them for recovery. I don't think that they're great for that. For stress management, I think they fit into that. So those are my thoughts on stress management, recovery. Alright, and Nesta, these are pretty helpful advice. Thanks, man. I'm guilty of being sore and telling my coach. Ha ha ha. Yeah, that's all gravy, bro. I'm glad that it's helpful. I'm glad that the advice is helpful. I love doing these. It's been a while since I've jumped on with the lives and like just had a topic and opened it up to Q&As. I have sorely missed it. Love chatting to you guys. So yeah, we'll always chat shop. Feel free to I'm going to be doing this. Well, I'm committing to it. I'm going live every day to make sure that even if I don't know what I'm going to talk about, I might just jump on and chat with you boys. But yeah, it's super fun. Love interacting with you guys in this way. So it's great fun. And glad it can be helpful. Guilty of being sore and telling my coach. Yeah, I mean, I do the same thing. Sometimes we want to tough it out, but I'd rather like my students at least, I'd rather them tell me hey man, this is how I'm feeling, sick, let's adjust if we need to. But more often than not, once you get in there and start moving, you're fine. You'll be able to get in a groove, which a little thing for me is yesterday. We did MMA yesterday, finished at about 8 o'clock, I think it would have been the time that we were done. As a side note, I clashed heads really hard with a guy and hope he's okay, but the back of my head has a bump because we clashed heads. We were both going in for a takedown, both going for an inside double on each other, and I saw him coming, so I turned my head a bit and bonk, he got hit on the temple with it. But yeah, we did MMA, and then I went to the gym. So normally I go to the gym now, during the middle of the day, or before my martial arts stuff. So I went maybe 3 hours later. We went to the gym 3.5 hours later, and I was not feeling great. My elbow was my left arm goes a bit funny sometimes, but I just adjusted it and just was okay, the intent here is just to get in and move my body, and it doesn't have to be super hard. Again, strength training as part of my recovery, and I feel really good now after a hardish MMA grappling sparring session as well. Yeah, I feel real solid. And I'm gonna go make some food and that after this so that I can eat. I'm gonna eat before training, a few hours before training. I've tried an hour and a half before. Not good. I gotta do the 2 hours minimum, I think. Or I just eat after training. But yeah, we've got all our stuff prepped. Anyway, that might be it for this one because I'd better head to the gym. I'm actually going to go to the sauna now. I've started doing this as part of my first thing in the morning because I'm I want to film a YouTube video. I want to go live every single day. But I find when it's the end of the day, I'm not as sharp. So I'm okay, how can I do this where I can bring the best to you guys without... while still hitting the criteria or the things that I want to hit. And I reckon this is feeling good. I've got the triple set up here. The triple threat, we got the YouTube camera set up, we've got the Facebook, we got Instagram, and I'll have to get another phone or something to get my TikTok up. Our other phone broke, so my TikTok phone is broken right now. I'll get it repaired, maybe. Take care, sir, and God bless. Take care, sir, and God bless to you too, Nesta. I appreciate the kind words. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for asking questions, boys. And girls. There are any girls in here? So yeah. Catch you guys on the flippity flip. This is all the art of being man. Embody that and it'll be all gravy, baby. Bah! They can tell I'm saying bye. They know what I sound like when I'm signing off my dogs. So they start to wrap up and be okay, we're going to go somewhere now. I'm just going to the kitchen. Alright, take care guys. Bye.